This is not where I usually film, but I had to show off the beautiful elderberry bushes. And you may be able to hear the bees. I don't know. The bees are happy about them too. So I'm Moon Petrie and it is camp, and I have been making some actual manuscript progress like I said in my last vlog I was really hoping to do. I have also been trying to make sure my kids continue to have some wholesome summer fun like I used to as a kid in the 80s.
I'm sure I'll love it. Mmm.
Canned ravioli? Good?
Love it.
Awesome. I cannot share the audio from this clip because of copyright. Can assure you, these girls just want to have fun. On the 7th, I started with Mr. Blank. Mr. Blank didn't get a name, and then I got so used to him being Mr. Blank, I did not know how I could think of him as anything else. At least he wasn't just brackets name and brackets, which is something else we'll get to in a second. I wanted a good name for him. It couldn't be too close to Blank, actually. I have a character whose name is Blake, so I didn't want it to be too similar, but I also kind of didn't want it to be too different, so I'd forget who he even was. Anyway, I changed Mr. Blank's name, and all the many instances throughout, I could not just replace all, because apparently there were 6 or 7 uses of the word blanket in this book. I am so relieved to have gotten that out of the way. In that process, I realized there were some other characters without names or without surnames. I decided, since most of them were bracket name and bracket, to move on to just using the find function and seeing how many brackets I had, which was close to 100, which is a lot. So I spent the rest of what time I had on the 7th and all of the time that I had on the 8th until pretty late in the evening. That would be last night. It is now the morning of the 9th. And I went through every single bracket. This involved a lot of naming characters. I have this whole culture. It's portal fantasy, so they end up elsewhere in the 3rd act. So I had to figure out naming conventions for this culture. Some of the characters had been given names, but I didn't like them. Also in the brackets were all the places where I just didn't stop to check the name of something or some other detail that I knew I had already written down somewhere in the manuscript, but while fast drafting didn't want to go back and check. So a lot of those were names, or whether somebody was a grandmother or a grandfather, or, you know, details like that. There's a lot of sort of family history stuff going on. Place names, street names, all kinds of stuff like that that I had either written once and then not bothered to check while drafting, or hadn't given a name to at all, or wasn't sure which one it was, and a bunch of checking for things. So I got all of that sorted out, and as of now there are no brackets in the manuscript. And a manuscript with chapters and without brackets is starting to feel much more like a book. I don't know that it's a great book, but it is a book. You can turn a not great book into a better book. So that makes me feel like this is more within the realm of possibility. I've been feeling like it wasn't even really a book. So no, it's just a shabby book that needs some love. I did not get as much done as I would have liked on the 9th. And maybe that's because I was taking my victory lap a little early with some of the things I thought I had accomplished on the 7th and 8th. So one of the items on my to-do list is to put together a list of all the characters' names in, a side document in one of my notes documents. And so I was working on that, an alphabetical list. So I was doing a lot of double checking. The find function has been my best friend this whole process. And I found some stuff while I was doing that. There was somebody's little brother that's only mentioned a couple of times that I didn't think I had given a name to, and so I named him Shawn, Shawn. And then going through and making this list, I realized that there is a character, again, a minor character, but still, there are a lot of families in this, and so the various family members, somebody's mother's name was Shauna, Shawana. So I had to change that kid's name. So I changed it. And then doing a search for something else, checking whether I'd named somebody else's brother. I searched for the word brother, and I found the original mention of this brother who I just named Shawn and then named something else instead. And he had a name the first time I mentioned him. So I had to fix that. Small things, but when you think you're done with a certain step of the process, and you keep finding small things, it's very frustrating. So doing a lot of searching through, doing a lot of trying to think what word like brother or sister would have been in conjunction with a mention of someone, to try to find all their names so that in future when I am working on this, I will be able to just look at my list. Felt like a little bit of spinning my wheels, but I now have a complete name list, as complete as I could manage to make it in this moment. And as I keep reading through over and over and keep finding things like the brother who I had already named, I will be able to have this to add to and refer to. And again, this is a step that I just hope will make it easier to do the actual work when I am doing the actual work. It feels like a side trip, but I hope that in future it will feel like I've created a little shortcut for myself. So that is what I've been up to. There's one other thing that I have noticed, and it is that I keep forgetting to update the NaNo site. So this marking one word a day for every day that I work on it has been, I guess, not super rewarding. Not trying to reach a certain word count. So days go by and I'm like, oh, I should go fill that in, and then I update the last few days, one word each day. So that has not been super satisfying. So I'm gonna try to think about rewards or trackers or some way of making it more satisfying to accomplish this bit of work each day that I'm accomplishing. So if you have any suggestions about how to do a non-traditional nano, a revision nano, what works for you? I know it is July, and when I think rewards, I'm thinking ice cream. Until next time, I am Moon Petrie. Don't forget to give yourself credit and maybe a reward for whatever progress you are making.